Selectperson. We'll hear their takes on the latest in local legislation like affordable housing. Plus, drivers in Stamford would soon join other towns and cities across the state being dealt fines for speeding through school zones. This is Connecticut Power and Politics. And hello and welcome to Connecticut Power and Politics. I'm Mark Sudol. I'm joined by Fairfield First Selectperson Christine Vitale and Republican State Senator Tony Hwang, both candidates in the upcoming special election in Fairfield. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, absolutely.
So we're going to get to a few of the major topics. You'll each have a minute to respond to these. Christine, let me start with you. Reassessments and the property taxes.
So Fairfield, per state statute, is going through a property revaluation. Municipalities are required to do this every 5 years. It's been ongoing for the past year. We got data from our residents. Letters went out in December. We are seeing a large increase, over 60%, close to 65% in residential properties, which is good news on the one hand. You know, Fairfield is a desirable place to live, and our housing prices are showing that. Residents who have concerns about that have had an opportunity to have informal hearings with our company that did the revaluation, and there's an ability to appeal in March. We are, we're getting a lot of questions about this. People want to know how this is going to impact the dollar amount of their property taxes. Unfortunately, we can't answer that question until the town budget process is finished and the mill rate is set, which will happen in May.
Tony, let me ask you about that.
Revaluation is one of the biggest issues impacting affordability for Fairfield residents. You're looking at an average of 64% increase, but here's the knocker. We had over years to address the deficiencies in regards to our commercial valuation, which has only increased 17%. The reality of that, regardless, if we don't spend an additional dollar in spending in our budget, you're looking at a 6 to 8% increase in taxes, period. We know that already. So that is one of the biggest challenges we have is affordability, tax incentivizing, and discipline. But revaluation is even more troubling because there are state statute guidelines that allows people to appeal. We, in the town of Fairfield, were almost a month and a half late in delivering that reassessment letter. Instead of getting it in late October, we got it during Christmas week. People have very little time to prepare, to do the analysis, to challenge these assessments. We've had ranges from over
Tony,
100.
What about Santa Con? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I think the pivot to Santa Con is that it's a quality of life and it's a public safety concern. I think there is an important opportunity for leadership to engage in all the stakeholders. The big challenge is the private residents in that, long-term residents in that community felt as though their public safety, their private property, and their sense of community were violated. At the same time, the university has an important responsibility to be able to engage and to be able to work with the students. But the students are residents there as well. I think one of the most important part to address Santa Con and ensuring public safety, respect, and engagement within the community is that all the stakeholders, students, residents, law enforcement, town leadership, university, all need to come together to engage in a conversation to find solutions.
Christine, talk about Fairfield U Santa Con.
Well, it was a success this year after a few years of having over 20,000 people last year invade our town. In the year before, similar numbers, 15,000. Pollution in Long Island Sound. This year we worked collaboratively with Fairfield University. They took on the event to have a private event for their students, so that kept other students away. There wasn't a big party on our public beaches. It was for Fairfield University students only. It kept their students safe. They had a good time. I was down there. Residents were happy. Our beaches were left clean, safe, fun, and a good time was had by all. And that was due to the collaboration of our police, fire, town government, and Fairfield University, who also engaged with the students to get what they wanted in their event. You know, our students last year, they didn't want to have all of these students from across the country really coming and invading on their private party. There's liability there, concerns about health and safety of everyone, but especially college students who are our residents and we value so much.
Now, you both were instrumental in fighting the UI monopoles. Tell me about that, and they could still come back, I guess.
The discussion is not over. This issue rose to the top in 2023 when residents in Southport found UI in their backyards, kind of marking off trees. Grassroots organization there elevated it, found out from our state rep, Jen Leeper, and ever since that moment, it has been all hands on deck advocating for our community. We're concerns about our churches, our museums, the taking of private property, and the negative impact to our commercial district, both in Fairfield and in Bridgeport. And this is a real regional, fight right now. We're concerned.
I think it was an example of collaborativeness, bipartisanship, and community engagement. But it showed leadership in addressing the issues of private property, business property, historical contexts, environmental concerns. Those were important factors that we had to address in regards to UI monopole related to Southport and Fairfield. But I pivot to say that we should have the same kind of leadership commitment when we talk about A30G projects that invade nearly 30 communities within our community. The same issues, private property, environmental concerns, engagement in regards to impact in their community. These were all the same issues that we looked at UI's monopole that we stood together and led on. Where is the silence for all of those other communities that are impacted by A30G applications? 8002, the new legislation that are forthcoming. The real impact is we should be fair, we should be equitable, we should recognize we can take a victory lap on the UI monopole, which we all participated in.
Tony?
But the silence in regards to A30G engagement and the various communities that are adversely impacted it is a shame.
Let me ask you this. What accomplishments make you qualified to be First Selectperson?
For over 20 years, I have been serving Fairfield. I have always been there for the community. From every corner of this community, I got involved because of schools and education for my children, but through storms, Sandy, through other various crises, I have always been there for the community. It is one of the greatest joys I have in professional life to be able to represent the community. One of the most important things, as we see this storm coming up, the number of calls that I've gotten from constituents to say, I want you to know that I'm looking out for you, that you're looking out for me. That is such an important part of community. And if I can offer that fact is, for over 20 years, I've always been there for the community, and the community knows that.
Christine, you've been in the role now since the passing of Bill Gerber. Why do you want to run it?
I've been in elected office in Fairfield for 8 years. Similar to the senator, concerns about my children and their future got me involved. I was a PTA president, served on the Board of Ed for 6 years, chaired that board for 4 years, served on the Board of Selectmen prior to assuming the role of First Selectperson. I love this community, love this job. We have such momentum for so many projects right now, and I want to build on that. As we've talked about Santa Con, collaboration, success on that. UI, the fight is going on, but bringing people together, elevating our issue at the state level, and we're seeing positive change right now. When it comes down to development, A30G, I wasn't up in Hartford. That's where the fight needed to be. At the local level, we are in a moratorium right now from A30G development. The applications that move forward are still going through our planning board, which oversees these, but now is the time for us to just really seize the day. We get to plan for what we want Fairfield to look like in the future, and that planning is happening, and we're going to engage all stakeholders in it.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that, Christine.
Sure.
How can the town prevent the negative effect of the affordable housings?
Well, I don't think affordable housing is necessarily a negative for a community. We need, as we saw through the revaluation, the average home price in Fairfield has just elevated by hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's gone are the days for those starter homes when you could come in $500,000 and less. We want to keep Fairfield a desirable place for our young adults to come back. We educate thousands of them. We want to be able to have an opportunity for them to come back. That means affordable housing. We want people who work in our community and serve our community to be able to live in our community. Our police officers, our firefighters, our teachers. When it comes down to answer your question, right now we're planning. We're in a moratorium from A30G. Developers can't come in to develop and bypass our local zoning regulations through that statute. and our TP&Z is doing that. Monthly planning meetings. We have a 10-year plan of conservation development, which preserves open space and residential, and all that work is happening right now.
Tony,
and I want to continue
is this
moving
affordable
forward.
housing legislation right for Fairfield?
I think the real contrast that you just heard is the fact that leadership matters. You can't put up your hands and say that Hartford is telling us what to do. Visionary leadership requires us to challenge the status quo, and that these rules and regulations of state mandates and one size fits all is not appropriate for Fairfield and the various communities that are impacted. We need to consider affordability, but affordability needs to be diverse and accessible. Many of these high-density projects are truly not affordable, but what they also bring forth is the fact that we increase infrastructure demands. You're going to look at infrastructure challenges and
we will be
services.
right back with more.
News 12 Connecticut is brought to you in part by HSS and Stanford Health, teaming up in Connecticut to bring the best in orthopedics closer to you. Learn more at hss.edu/Stanford Health.
When you need a plumber, call RAPS. For heating and air conditioning, call RAPS. For drain service, call RAPS. RAPS Professional On-Call Emergency Service is backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee, with Saturday service at no extra charge. We do it fast, all in a snap, with RAPS.
Hi everyone, it's Chris from The Happy Coin. With precious metals trading in a red-hot market, we continue to leverage our decades of experience when you're ready to buy or sell. And best of all, there's nothing artificial at The Happy Coin. No chatbots or frustrating voicemail mazes, just real people offering top dollar and immediate payment. Whether it's gold or silver coins, bars, jewelry, watches, any form of precious metals, give us a call. We pick up the phone and we look forward to working with you.
5G internet may sound good for your business at first, until you realize your internet connection is unreliable and not secure. That's because 5G internet runs on shared cell phone towers, with service that slows down when more people are online. They call it fast internet, we call it not good enough. Optimum Business Fiber Internet delivers a fast, reliable, and secure internet connection. Now starting at just $65 a month. Don't take slow for an answer. Call today to switch.
Grow your business with Optimum Media. With solutions that reach audiences across multiple platforms like TV, mobile, and more, we offer advertising for everyone. We'll create a customized multi-screen ad campaign that reaches your potential customers where they are, anytime, anywhere. Optimum Media is advertising for you. Are you looking to align your business with the power of News 12? Scan the code to find out how to take your business to the next level through advertising and sponsorships with News 12 and News 12 New York.
News 12 Connecticut is brought to you in part by HSS and Stanford Health, teaming up in Connecticut to bring the best in orthopedics closer to you. Learn more at hss.edu/Stanford Health.
Tips to be healthy.
4 moves at home: simple, easy, effective.
How to be smart with finances.
Make a change and set yourself up for 2026.
How to be happy. Searching for ways to live life better.
The skill is going to change my life.
News 12's Emmy-nominated show, Be Well, has many new ways to help you reach your wellness goals.
I feel like I can make it at home.
You can. Not feel. You can.
Watch Be Well every weekday at 10:30 a.m. on News 12.
Welcome back to Power and Politics. I'm Mark Sudo. We're talking again about the upcoming special election in Fairfield for First Selectperson. Tony Hwang and Christine Vitale are both here with us. Tony, I kind of cut you off there before you can finish up.
Well, I think the critical aspect is, do we want Fairfield to remain as a town that's engaged and affordable, or become a city that is cost prohibitive and fraught with challenges of infrastructure and increased taxation? Here's the challenge. when you talk about increased density, you're not only talking about changing the very landscape and the nature of communities and neighborhoods, you're talking about increased infrastructure demands, sewage capacity, environmental impact, but also increase in services, schools becoming more packed, challenges in regards to transportation. It is not in a vacuum when you look at increased density housing. We have nearly 30 projects, even before moratorium. And ultimately, it impacts people on taxes.
All right, let me ask you about controlling the growth in town spending.
I think
go ahead.
we got a little bit extra time on that one, and I want to just clarify for our residents that affordable, accessible housing does not necessarily mean high-rise, development going in our residential areas. And that's where it comes down to leadership. Right now, that is what we're doing. We are looking at only 4.5% of our land mass is zoned for commercial. So we're looking at accessible housing, diversified housing stock outside of our established residential areas, and those in the areas where we can have mixed-use housing, middle housing. That's what's lacking. And right now is the time to do that. These 830G, many of them are in appeals. They may or may not even get built. But right now, we are looking to the future, and that takes planning. It takes leadership, smart revitalization of aging commercial infrastructures, building housing near our downtowns where people work. Keeping Fairfield vibrant is good for our economy, good for the future.
Tony, what about controlling growth in town spending?
Well, I think the key phrase, as I said, do we want Fairfield to remain as a village, a town that engages and have neighborhoods and communities, or do we become a city with high rises? I think the first Selectwoman said that she looks at middle housing, but the problem at hand is we have nearly 30 projects, even before the moratorium set in, of high rises, high density, creating incredible impact on infrastructure, taxation, and services. So plain and simple, what have we done to challenge those projects? As we took a victory lap on the UI monopole, I have seen nothing. I have heard silence in regards to the various other projects. And in fact, we've even supported using town funds to be able to allocate a project that was vehemently opposed by neighborhoods. Bottom line is this: we have projects that are ongoing right now that this town's leadership has been silent on in supporting the community.
How do you respond to that?
We have projects that are going on that are going through the proper board that is reviewing those projects. The community was able to engage with that. Right now, my focus is looking to plan for the future. As I said, many of these projects are in appeals. Some of them were in litigation. They may or may not be moving forward. My priority is looking to the future, making sure that we keep that moratorium. Right now, we are well on our way, halfway there, to getting our second moratorium. That will give us another 5 years. That'll give us almost 9 years to control our destiny. Now is the time to take local control, be smart about our development. It's in our control right now. I can't go back and change state legislation, and it's really easy now to be saying, where was the advocacy for years to change this legislation at the state level? And, having places for people to live that is accessible and diversified, that needs to be a priority for our nation, for our state, and for Fairfield. We want to keep Fairfield a place that is accessible to young families, to our seniors, and the people that serve us each day.
You want to respond to that?
Yes, I do, very much so. The silence for those 30 communities that are impacted is deafening. So we may move forward to the moratorium, but to those communities, it will forever be changed. The silence from Town Hall has been deafening. Secondly, we have a supermajority of Democrats in the state legislature. And in 2017, when it was tied and balanced, this is the challenge with one-party rule. When it was balanced, I was the architect of the only major change in 830G legislation in its entire history. So yes, ma'am, with leadership, we can make changes. But when you say we're going to move forward and leave behind many of the communities that will be irrevocably changed, then that is not leadership. That is, unfortunately, the plight that we're dealing with, that the residents of this town, in regards to revaluation and increased taxation, and not understanding that we could have been proactive, and the 830G legislation.
Well, I think that being proactive, Fairfield has been proactive, and where it has landed us, it's landed us in court, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting projects that, per the statute, we know we're not going to be able, in many cases, to win. We've wasted a lot of time over the last decade saying no to projects that we knew, per the statute, were going to move forward. If we had reached the moratorium earlier, think about all the projects that would not be moving forward now. Stand up for those residents in terms of, we don't want high-rises, 5-story, 6-story development in our residential areas. Our plan of conservation development outlines that. We are not looking to become a city like Stamford or Norwalk, no offense against Norwalk, but we want to keep that small town feel, have places for people to live, build for the future, so families can keep on coming to Fairfield, and that takes leadership. It takes being willing to engage the community, make tough decisions, and that's what I've been doing and hope to do for the remainder of Bill Gerber's term.
I think the vision of leadership is a contrast here. I think the key word I heard from the First Selectwoman is to fight for neighborhoods, to engage in that debate is a waste of money, and to me, that is a absolutely inappropriate statement.
We gotta go.
We overcame the UI monopole because it mattered.
I thank
and
you
town
both.
leadership needs to effectuate that.
Thank you so much.